This is Caffeine Coils, and I'm Deanna.
And I'm Jenny.
And we have a special guest today. Do you want to introduce yourself, Bob?
Bob Prentice. It's good to be back.
Yeah,
Yes.
welcome back, Bob. Thanks for coming on with us again.
Sure.
Yes, so this is a repeat guest.
Yep.
I'm excited to talk to you again about indoor air quality.
That's what I talk about all day long.
I feel like there's so much to cover. It is impossible to cover in just one episode.
There is a lot to it.
You'll be sad to hear that I'm still using my wax warmers, although I do feel guilty about it every time now, so thank you.
Well,
So Bob got me this fancy new air purifier. So I have since unplugged my wallflowers because, I don't know. I was talking with my sister-in-law, and she works in the medical field, and she was talking about she's like in the surgery room, and she was like, said something about how horrible it is when they do certain procedures, like for their lungs and stuff, and they try to suck all the bad stuff out before it gets airborne and stuff. But she was like, I'm definitely going to die of cancer because of that and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should have plugged those wallflowers. Like, maybe all those carcinogens and stuff are not good for me. So, sorry, Bath & Body Works. You lost me on this one.
kind of like radon, that thing that just kind of gives you the
heebie-jeebies.
the heebie-jeebies. You can't see it. You don't know about it. And 10 years later, somebody shows up with lung cancer.
Okay,
Never had
so
a
now,
cigarette.
since you brought it up, I have to know.
Yeah.
So, I know you just built a new house.
Uh-huh.
Did you test for radon? Did you install stuff for radon mitigation?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, I'm surprised.
I
Okay.
am too. There's so many other things that it's on the list, but it's
Yeah.
like down on the list a little bit. But
But it's coming
definitely.
soon.
Yeah, I've talked to some neighbors, and the radon levels are definitely high over there. So
Okay, well, when you do it, let us know so we can come film some content on it.
okay, we'll do that for sure.
All right, so tell us what has changed, if anything, since we spoke last year.
Well, if you look at the news, COVID's gone, but it's not true. So there really not a whole lot has changed. It's just I think people's attitudes have changed a little bit. They're tired of all of the precaution that they were going through, so they've kind of just thrown caution to the wind, I guess. But really, I think the technology has always been there. It's improved a little bit, but it hasn't really changed a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, actually, I have, I still have a bunch of masks from COVID era, and
Yeah.
I keep wondering, like, do I need to keep these? Do I need to hang on to these? Are we going to have, like, another outbreak of something?
the masks didn't do much good.
I know they didn't, but
No.
you had to wear one
Right.
in certain places anyway. But
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still, myself personally, would not like to travel on an airplane. Just knowing, in my other life, many, many years ago, when I was manufacturing air duct cleaning equipment, we were brought the ducts of an airplane to see if we could actually clean that. And somewhere I still have the video. I'll have to find it and give it to you guys. But when they started up our cleaning tool at one end of it, it created a cloud of dust so big it blacked out the camera.
Okay, ignorance is bliss.
And so that little vent that you're like, give me some air. It's just pouring that stuff all over you.
Oh my
And it's all
gosh.
recirculated air from the plane.
It's
so the
too
guy
late.
17 rows back coughing is going to throw it right back in your face in 15 seconds or so.
okay, that on top of the other things we're hearing in the news about certain airlines, I'm a little
Yeah.
concerned.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'll be
I know.
driving from now on.
I haven't flown much this year because I haven't had to do a whole lot of traveling for work, but I feel like, I don't want to see the video. Ignorance is bliss because there is no changing it. I
Kinda
feel
like
like there's
radon.
no changing it. Yeah. But I'm also seeing too, like a lot of these influencers are pushing some of these air purifiers by just major brands. And I was talking with another supplier for indoor air quality stuff a few weeks ago, and we were talking about how it's hard to sell because you can't see it.
Right.
You can't physically see it. So it's like, again, ignorance is bliss. You can't see the stuff coming out of that airplane vent. You can't see all the stuff, COVID viruses floating around in the air. But I think a lot of the influencers are doing a really good job with some of these air purifiers because they're kind of showcasing, like, they're spraying hairspray, and then you can, like, hear the air purifier, like, ramp up and get that out of the air. Or they're, in their paint booth, painting furniture or whatever it is they're doing, and they have one in there. And I'm like, that's a really good way to kind of physically see and hear what you otherwise wouldn't notice.
Right.
You would just notice the smell of it. But we've been spraying hairspray in our hair for decades, so
Right.
it's like not a big deal anymore,
Yes.
What about in terms of how you feel since you've had your air purifier? Like, do you feel any different? Can you breathe better? Do you notice anything like less headaches?
I wouldn't say like less headaches or anything like that. I do feel like we've had some like weird stuff going on in our neighborhood, and I feel like there's been some smells like outside that I feel like are not coming inside. Ask me again in 6 months when my kid starts back to school and see like, because I won't ever forget that December of last year he brought me the flu. And I literally took Bob's advice and was opening all the windows and letting the cold air in just because I was like, please don't let me get this flu. Please don't let me get the flu. I still got the flu. And I was just like, that is the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. I have never tested positive for COVID, so I don't actually know if I've had it or not. But I am telling you, I have never been that sick. And then remember, we had to cancel podcast recording episodes because I ended up losing my voice and I couldn't talk. So, yeah, that was the sickest I've ever been.
Does that air purifier help with like allergens?
Depends on what kind of filter you have in it.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there's all kinds out there. What you want is something to have multiple filters. You want probably a MERV 11, MERV 13 to start with before it goes into like a HEPA type filter, because it will take the larger particles and keep it from loading up that HEPA filter. So HEPA filter being the most expensive to replace, you can replace more of the pre-filters before you have to replace the HEPA, and the HEPA will get the germs. But MERV 13 will catch a lot of the viruses in it. So you can upgrade any piece of equipment to a MERV 13 right now.
Okay, yeah,
So,
and it'll catch more, yeah.
It'll catch a good portion of it.
So what's your opinion, because this is kind of like a sticking point in my house at the moment, what's your opinion on changing that filter to a thicker filter? Because, you're kind of cutting off some of the airflow. It's a myth.
That's a myth unless you're living in a 1920s house.
All right. I hope Gatlin Brown listens to this episode because he currently has the most paper-thin filter in my air conditioning, and I do not like it at all.
Just do your best to get a MERV 13.
Okay.
And if you can't do a MERV 13, MERV 11, but anything less than a MERV 11 should be thrown away. It's a throwaway filter, so just throw it away before you even bother to put it in.
Just throw it away before you bother to put it in.
It's not going to do you any good.
Okay.
There's no point in buying it.
I'm glad we brought up filters because I also have a point of contention in my household about the frequency of changing our filter. So I changed it, and my husband said, it still looks clean. And I said, it doesn't matter. I'm putting in a new one anyway. That it doesn't matter if it looks clean, right? Because it could have stuff in it that you can't see.
It doesn't matter. A pleated filter will last longer because it's got more surface area.
Yeah.
So you can, and some of them work even better when they get loaded up because the layers upon layers upon layers helps it filter even more.
Oh, okay.
So you start to load it into a.
But there's got to be like a tipping point for that because
there is, and you can what. And it was to your earlier question about having a problem with the blower. You create higher static as it gets dirty. So you could put a gauge in there that would tell you. Some of those filter gauges will tell you when the differential pressure between the two will tell you what's going on with that. But I mean, once a month on a standard big box store filter, probably every 6 months on something like an April Air or that type of a filter.
Oh, okay.
So at my old house, I had like the media filter, and we changed it every 3 months. But it was I loved having that filter on there. I want to add that to my current house.
But don't go by thickness. Go by MERV rating.
Yeah. Okay,
because you could get a 3-inch MERV 13, and you can get a 3-inch MERV 4. So it's more about what the MERV
rating. That's good advice. The MERV rating matters.
Yep, it does.
All right, so I know we recently recorded with Jared from Toddy Ron, and he has some new technology. Can you give us an update on some of the new technology that we are seeing in the IAQ space?
There's not. I mean, even his technology is not new. It's the application
is new.
Okay. Yeah, it's H2O2, which is hydrogen peroxide. So it basically is using electricity put through 2 plates on a wire. And it is changing the air as it passes through. It's creating hydrogen peroxide as it moves through that electrical current. So you're actually getting hydrogen peroxide. The thing about hydrogen peroxide is when you send it out into the air, it lasts for a long time. even after the unit shuts off. And it also drops out on surfaces and things that last for a long period of time. Not like ions, as an example. I think it was Mike Nelson who said ions are like the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. You get them and they're gone. So you have to have billions and billions of those to flood the room in order to keep enough ions moving. But when you turn it off, the ions are gone.
Okay.
Which is where hydrogen peroxide continues to work afterwards, because it's an actual.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that the ions were
Right.
gone so quickly.
One of the things we learned in COVID about ionization is that we always put it before the coil, which is great because it keeps the coil clean, keeps that biomass down off the coil, so it keeps the unit working good. But in order to get it out to the room, you have to have it close to the registers so that you can dump it into the room. And that's why they came out with the one that's ceiling mounted. Have you seen that one?
A little bit.
It fits into a 24 by 24 ceiling grid, and it's got its own fan in there, and it's got a CI2 unit up in there, and you just turn it on, and it just dumps ions into the room.
So those of us who have the ionizers that were like very early on technology, like right as COVID was emerging, would you say that they're effective?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, the if you want to get them into the room, I mean, for taking care of the coil and all that, the reason why ionization started was to be able to reduce outside air on commercial units, because it cleans the air to a point where you can consider it fresh air again instead of having to bring outside air in, so you don't have the expense of reheating or recooling all that air. So that's what they did, the main purpose of it. And then putting it in front of the coil, it was a great coil cleaner. But then when they tried to get it out into the room for disease control, or whatever you want to call it, virus control, it was found that there wasn't enough left because the coil would eat it up before it ever got out.
Okay, gotcha.
So to use it for that type of a situation, you need to get it closer to the outlets of the ductwork so that it gets into the room.
Okay, that makes sense. It also makes sense, too, when you say that it's got to be moving constantly, because they told me, make sure that you leave the fan on.
Right.
So, makes sense.
Yeah.
Like all the time you have to leave the fan on?
Yeah, like the fan is set to on all the time, which that was at my old house. So I'm not sure what they're doing with it now, but yeah, we did have one installed there.
What would you say is the most challenging indoor air quality situation for you to solve?
Smells.
Okay, I feel that because that's like a huge reason of why I think the air purifiers are I think that we've kind of transitioned to less of the, oh my gosh, let's get rid of COVID, and more of like, let's, if we're cooking bacon or we're cooking some kind of food or whatever, let's suck that smell out. Or I know my in-laws were wanting to get rid of kind of a musty smell that they have at their houseboat, which is kind of hard to mitigate sometimes, but they love what they have. So
yeah, it's very difficult. I just had someone yesterday, one of our commercial TMs, that said that he lives in a high-rise building, and all of the people have separate ventilation, but there is a common chase for the line sets to come into each one of the units. And so if somebody's smoking or cooking something, it filters into everybody's unit.
Oh, that must be terrible.
But they don't have access to their equipment to put anything on it because of the structure of the building.
Oh my gosh, that's...
So, yeah.
I wonder, do you think that's going to be more of a commercial application? Like, do you think they're going to start in high-rise buildings, apartments, student housing, whatever, insert, multi-living together? Do you think that they would ever start doing something for air purification, odors, all that kind of stuff, like IAQ? You think that's coming?
I think they already are, but I think in the older buildings, there's a lot of retrofit work to do, because there is, you can positively charge a building with air, so you pressurize it so that nothing gets in. It basically holds everything outside of you. But if the building isn't built tight, if they don't have the right stuff on there, then it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But that's going to take a long time to cycle through all that in different buildings. And if they have no incentive to do it, if there's no government mandate, if there's no tax break or something of that nature, or people that are actually tenants complaining about it, they're not going to do anything. It's all about what they cannot do.
I know that we talked last time about, I asked you what can I do on a budget, and you said open the windows. What else would you recommend for like a technician to recommend to a customer? Let's say that they want to invest a little bit into IAQ, but they don't want to spend a whole lot of money. What would you recommend?
Ventilation, some type of ventilation, and a better filter, even if it's just a throwaway MERV 13. Ventilation will keep, fresh air coming into the house, changing it out, keeping it from getting stale. Kids coming home from school, bringing every disease you can imagine in. You want to make sure that it's that saying that came out at the beginning of COVID, dilution is the solution to the pollution. You want to dilute the air as much as you can so that you're not likely to get any of these diseases, because if you're in a room where it's highly concentrated and the air isn't changing, you're going to end up concentrating that stuff inside. So that was the purpose of opening the windows in the beginning. I got calls from my family all over the country going, what do I do? And I said, just open the windows.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do, is you just dilute it.
All right, so back to this new house build. So what indoor air quality solutions did you install or will be installing besides radon that will cover all your bases?
Wi-Fi thermostats.
Okay, brand specific?
Oh boy,
I'm putting you in the hot seat,
represent
huh?
a lot of brands, and they're all really good. It depends on what you're doing. I think when it comes to controlling IAQ products, April has a great thermostat system for that. I think if you're a basic, I don't have the money to do all those things, but you want some control over it, Honeywell makes a great stat that'll let you control it.
Okay.
And I know that as far as Carrier goes, we match all of our Carrier equipment with Ecobee. It's just one that works there. So, did I cover it all?
I think so. You did a really good job. We know that April Air is your favorite, but
it's not really my favorite. It's just that they're a company that's concentrated on indoor air quality. Yeah. So that's that's what I do. So
okay, so Wi-Fi thermostat to start. Now, what's the next step?
I'm going to put a better filtration system in.
Okay.
I'm going to put in a ERV, so an energy recovery ventilator.
Okay.
So I'm going to ventilate, but I'm going to recover the energy when I ventilate, so that I'm not having to reheat and recool.
Is that something that gets added on to your outdoor unit, or how does that work?
It's added on inside. It's basically about the size of 2 shoe boxes. You can hang it on the wall. You can stick it into floorboards in the attic. It fits between the rafters. And you exhaust out and you attach to the equipment. So you're blowing air out of the house, and then you're bringing air back in. And as it goes through, it's kind of an X pattern in that box. And there's a heat exchanger in the center that is actually either picking up the coolness or picking up the heat, depending on what season you're in. And as it's going out, it's bringing in the air and it's transferring that energy back to that as it comes in. It's about 73% efficient as far as transfer goes. So you're not paying all that extra money to reheat or recool that air that's coming in, but it gives you the ventilation that you're looking for so that you have ventilation. And I'm going to put in a dehumidifier, because there's a pretty good shoulder season where the dehumidifier will do the job. You don't have to run the air conditioning. You're just looking to take the humidity out of the air so that there's more heat in humid air than there is in dry air. So it takes a whole lot more energy.
And just for reference, you're in Northwest Georgia, right?
I am.
Okay. So I just want people to know where you are geographically, so this makes more sense.
So that's more efficient than running the air conditioner?
Yes.
Is to run the dehumidifier?
Yeah.
Okay.
The dehumidifier will make the air conditioner more efficient as well, because there's just less moisture. I mean, that's basically what you're doing with an air conditioner is a heat transfer process. You're taking heat from the inside and putting it to the outside.
Does it work the opposite way? Do you get a humidifier in the winter?
Yes.
To help keep it warm?
Yes. And I'll put a steam humidifier in.
Oh, okay.
Steam humidifier will give you plenty of capacity, so no matter what happens, if it gets really cold and your heat is cranking, the steam humidifier can keep up.
Okay, so is the ERV going to be the only piece of IAQ that you think you'll need in that scenario? So, I mean, humidification aside,
right?
You think that's that all you want to install, or?
Well, that and filter. So I'm going to put a pleated filter in. I'm going to have the ERV, which will give me my ventilation, and it will. The ERV is just making sure that I'm not paying to heat and reheat or cool and recool as it's going. I'm trying to capture as much of that as possible. And it's becoming something that's going to be standard in most new homes built. Code's going to make them do that. What's going to make them do that is getting the ratings that they're trying to get on the houses, all the tax advantages they get for doing it. So you're going to see those in there. And I think there's at least one home builder right now is looking at putting them in, so we may be able to
Interesting.
make some
Okay.
traction there. We have a couple of different companies that we handle their products for that. A lot of it is in the southern part of our area, like South Georgia.
Okay.
There's a big group of contractors that are doing that.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yep.
So bringing in kind of the region aspect, we're in the southeast of the United States. Is there a difference even in our region as far as what's needed for indoor air quality? Someone that's in northwest Georgia like you versus someone that's in maybe the southeast of Georgia like Savannah?
Yeah. We won't sell any humidifiers below
Yeah.
below Atlanta and Birmingham. I mean, we stop there unless you've
Uh-huh.
got somebody who has some really really nice wood products, a piano or
Uh-huh.
something where they're trying to keep the humidity at a certain level. Otherwise, you're not going to sell them. They just won't sell. So that's definitely the difference. I would say in the Gulf states, you're looking at dehumidifiers probably being the go-to for the whole off season of air conditioning because it's just moist all the time.
Yeah.
It's just nothing but that. So where here, I think people put them in, but not at the numbers that they do down there. So that's for sure a big difference. Other than that, we all need to stay warm. We all need to stay cool. I don't think there's any gas furnaces down in the Gulf Coast. There may be a few of them, but very, very few. That would be the difference. It'd be more heat pumps.
So what kind of, how do you balance, like, where's the balance between the energy efficiency and IAQ? Like, how much of a trade-off is there?
Well, they're trying to make it so that it's a very small trade-off. I think a lot of that trade-off is in what it is that you want. You want to keep your kids and your family safe from all this? Are you willing to pay a little more to run your equipment because you're going to be bringing in outside air? So it's kind of
Yeah, how healthy do you want your lungs to be?
the expense, risk, benefit, that you're looking at.
Do you see, like, any IAQ solutions coming into that code play that you just talked about, or no? No,
Yeah, I mean, all the IAQ solutions are there. It's nobody in the construction business wants to implement anything that costs them money.
Yeah.
So it's only going to be you and I as consumers demanding it, or government mandating, through regulations that it has to happen that'll make it happen. But it's all already there. I don't think there's anything
that's going to
any new
influence
technology.
it. Yeah.
Somebody puts a different spin on it, but it's all basically the same.
All right. Well, thanks for the info, Bob. I
Sure.
feel like I learned a lot today
Good.
that
I
I
did
didn't
too.
know already, which, I mean, we've been talking about IAQ for years, so
Yeah.
that's saying something.
Yep.
I'm going to have to hit you up for some IAQ solutions
Okay.
for my home.
You got it. Let me know. I'm here to help.
All right. Well, I think Cody has our ender for
Yeah, we
today.
have a surprise
so,
ender.
Yeah,
Even
none of
we-
us know what the ender is today, so this ought to be a fun game, whatever it is.
Keeping it fresh, keeping it real. Do you guys like statistics?
Yes.
Oh.
Everybody loves statistics, right? And percentages.
course.
It's everybody's favorite thing. Well, I've got a handful of HVAC-related statistics questions. So all of these answers are going to be in percentages.
Okay.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
person that is closest to the correct percentage gets the question right. I've got 8 of these. All right.
Okay.
So the first one, according to data published in 2021 by the United Kingdom's Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, what percentage of UK homes have AC units?
Okay.
20%.
Why are we talking about UK right now?
Because the next question is going to compare it to America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good call, Cody. Okay, I'm going to say 45%.
So
I
we
say
got
20.
45, we've got 20,
10.
less than 5%.
Yep.
Less
why they've been
than
complaining.
5%.
That's what.
Chew
They've been
on that
complaining
for a
all
Oh
over
my
minute. Yeah.
gosh. Oh my
Oh, yeah.
goodness. Is the weather mild there? I don't know.
It
if
is.
Okay,
It
I was going
is.
to say, I don't know what the climate is.
They only have a few hot days a year. That's why they
Their
don't.
summers are also very rainy, so it's a lot cooler.
Okay.
So same question, but for American homes, and this is per the International Energy Agency. So what percentage of American homes have air conditioning?
99.
I'm going to say 85%.
85, 99,
I'm going to say 75.
90%.
There you go.
90%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so who won that one? Me?
We're
I think so.
spoiled.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just going to throw that out there.
Wow.
All right. So according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Natural gas ranks as the top heating fuel among what percentage of American households?
30.
30.
65.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say something close to that. I'll just say 60.
46%.
46. Okay, so it's less than I thought. It's less than I thought. You know, they've had this whole revolt against gas stoves and stuff lately.
Yeah.
So
I'm so scared of gas.
Yeah.
I don't even like cranking up my propane gas
Your grill?
grill. I
Yeah.
get so scared.
Charcoal gets better flavor anyway. You know, and
It
unless
takes
you're
so
unless you're a
long,
Traeger
though.
person.
It takes
But
so long.
so speaking of electricity, so same question, where does electricity fall in that equation? So if natural gas is 46%, what percentage is electricity?
how much was natural gas? 46?
46. I'll give you a
So-
hint. It's close.
All right, let's go 50.
50.
55.
42.
It is exactly 42%.
Oh my
Wow,
It
Bob.
is exactly 42%.
What is it on
the money.
Price is Right when they guess exactly what it is? Don't
Yeah,
they get
they
a
get a
bonus?
bonus point,
Yeah,
yeah.
All right,
you
good
get a
job.
bonus, Bob.
Nice.
I got a few more. So according to Energy Star, having properly sealed heating and cooling ducts can increase efficiency by what percentage? That's a great Bob question.
6%.
I'm going to say
6%?
30%.
30?
I'm
You're
probably way
confusing me
off.
because you're like, yours is so low.
I know it is so
20.
low.
I'll go 20.
It's exactly 20.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Man, y'all are good
Nice job.
guessers
Yeah.
today.
Bonus point for D.
Extra point.
Per the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, experts predict an increase in HVAC-related jobs by what percentage between 2022 and 2032?
I feel like I know this because I think Deanna used this
Yeah, we just talked
statistic.
about this.
And I just re-listened to it. I want to say it's 6%, which is twice as much as other careers.
Okay.
10. I don't remember, so I'm gonna guess 10.
That clearly didn't stick.
8.
Jenny did her homework. It's 6%.
I'm telling you, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told us that on a couple of episodes ago.
She's so smart. She remembers stuff so
That's
good.
good memory, yeah.
I don't remember good.
All right, so two more. According to the EIA, in 2015, so this is a little bit older data, in 2015, home cooling costs made up of what percentage of all home energy expenses?
I'm gonna say 70%.
80%.
60.
Y'all are way high.
Really?
12.
Oh.
12%.
12.
Okay.
So
What is the power company telling me then? Because I feel like they're telling me it's a lot.
But,
It is.
But
It's
you
a
said
lie.
of energy expense.
Total, yeah, so like cooling specifically, of all of your energy expense that you have on your house,
Okay.
cooling
okay.
makes up 12% of that expense.
Wow. That must have been someplace like North Dakota.
I was gonna say I don't
Maybe,
really
yeah.
believe that.
I don't know. I just think
Georgia.
it's interesting because I think that it's kind of a myth that you should have your thermostat set on something crazy like 78. By the way, Bob, what is your thermostat set to?
I was going
summer.
to say
Yeah.
78, but that's not true.
What a good segue into the final question. So turning your thermostat up by 1 degree in the summer
Okay.
or down by 1 degree in the winter, on average, can save you roughly how much on your energy bill?
4%.
Yes, something super low. It's like it's got to be 10% or something.
So we got a 4, we got a 10.
Okay, I'll go with 12.
It is 3%.
I
Yeah.
knew it was
It's
like
not much,
so
yeah.
little.
It's not worth it for
Okay.
your comfort, guys.
I
Just-
still do need to know what your home temperature is because this is like a ongoing Caffeine Coils debate.
During the day, it sits at 74. And then at night, it goes, I think my wife, I think she takes it down to like sub-zero. But
You're right.
it goes,
me.
it goes down to probably 68 at night.
Okay.
I do-
Listen,
I do
I'm a
68 at
74
night.
girl during the day, and Deanna told me that was basically boiling in your home.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But
no,
you
it's
have
not.
the dehumidifier thing, right?
I don't have
so,
one running right now.
Oh, okay.
But I can definitely tell the difference. I mean, when you walk outside, even if you're 74, you walk outside
And
for
you're
a
like-
couple of minutes, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah,
Get
it's
me
an
back
oven
in.
outside
Yeah.
right now.
It's just getting used to it. You know, it's
And I think running a ceiling fan helps because I know anytime if I want to bump it up a little bit, I'll turn on a ceiling fan instead of turning
Yeah.
the AC back down.
yeah, I did. That's the first thing we did when we moved in was had ceiling fans installed in all the rooms. So But my grandson comes over and he's like, "It's really cold in here." His mom has 78 because she doesn't want to pay the electric bill.
Oh yeah.
And so when he comes in our house, it's walk-in freezer.
It's really funny.
78.
It's really funny how they my dad liked it at 78, but he also worked in a building that didn't have air conditioning for most of his life. So it's I feel like he acclimated to a warmer temperature. So 74 was cold to him.
Yeah.
It's funny. A human body is very.
Well, see, my husband's a welder, and so he's welding in the hot all day, and he wants to come into, a nice cold house. So.
Well, I think the biggest amount of phone calls I get from people are my air conditioner doesn't seem to want to go below 79 degrees. When it's 99 outside, 79 is a great number. You're never the differential between inside and outside, probably 20 degrees is the max.
Listen, I want to believe that because my air conditioning guy tells me the same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, you're only going to get a 20-degree
That's
drop.
That's it.
And I'm like, what's your thermostat say right now? And he's like 68. And I'm like, okay, so it is possible.
exactly.
So
Mine
get
is
over here and make it 68 in my house.
If you undercharge the unit, it'll get colder.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm having a hard time as as an air conditioning consumer believing that right now.
Because the myth is that more Freon colder, it's actually less Freon. Less Freon will make it colder.
Okay.
So if you got a leak, what happens is it starts to get colder, and then it freezes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you for all your expertise today, Bob.
No
Thanks for
problem.
coming on with us.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Cody, for the question.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
good job.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it. So don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.